It's the morning before Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna do a little quick project this morning. I've got a stack of wood here in the driveway. I'm gonna turn it into a bowl like this one. The stuff on top is actually cherry that came from my friend Joanne and Steve, who have a meadery. But we're gonna start with that. Before it goes on the lathe, it's nice to like take off as much wood as you can. So it's going to end up kind of being an oblong shape, and the bowl would be scooped out here. This side would be the bottom of the bowl, and each of these corners can use a piece cut off of them. The first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to mount it on the lathe with this, and I need a flat spot to put this onto. So the goal was to get that piece right there. It screws onto here. And I actually had to cut it down a little bit farther because there's a limit to how big a diameter bowl I can put on this lathe. And I'm pushing the limits right now. When you spin it around, it almost is touching that metal track below. Maybe I'm too close now and it's going to run into trouble later. But so next step will be to shape this, which would be your outside of the bowl. And then you're also going to put a tenon or mortise right here that can be used in conjunction with a chuck to mount it, and then it'll get flipped over, and then we'll hollow out the inside of the bowl. So we got the piece of cherry mounted up. We've got tailstock support holding it right here. We got our tool rest right here. It clears. Right now it hasn't been shaped at all, so it's going to be the most off center that it's ever going to be, so probably be the most wobbly. So flipping it on is a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes at the start. But we'll see how close to round I cut it. So as you see, a little bit of rocking action, but not too bad. Got to invest some time or money into getting the camera at a decent angle to get the right shots. I think what this hobby does best is make sawdust. Alright, so I'm getting kind of close to finishing up on this side of the bowl. There's kind of three big things I need to be concerned with. One is I need to get this as smooth and the right shape as I want. The other is you want the bowl to be able to sit flat on a table. You can see the darker area right here. That's like the chainsaw cut. So I haven't totally flattened the bowl yet. And really you don't even want it just flat. You want it like concave in, so there's got a lip so it can sit on a table with. And then third thing is I need to make either a mortise or tenon. I'm probably going tenon this time in order to attach it to the 4-jaw chucks so that I can mount it the other way so that I can hollow out the bowl. But the piece of wood I've got here, it makes kind of this oblong shaped bowl in the end. It's not going to be a nice round bowl. It'll kind of be a more unique shape than that. So that's a mistake I just made called a catch. I tried to cut into the wood too aggressively and it pulled the handle straight up and the wood slowed down as it was spinning, and I need to try to avoid doing that in the future. I did a fair amount of sanding during this project, but I didn't get much video of it. All right, shape of the bowl is getting more like I like it. It's always a concern when you're turning wood is getting the wood dried out properly. And there's all kinds of techniques to do that, but a lot of them involve the wood just sitting around for years and years and years. So these cracks right here, there's no telling what it'll look like in a day or two. Like sometimes it just totally deforms or splits open after you work on it. And there's ways to kind of take precautions, but I really didn't take any of those precautions. Still got work to do on the bottom. Need to, got it kind of, so I've got this rim around the outside, but I need a way to mount the bowl still. I'm loosening these bolts so I can pull the tailstock out of the way, and then I can move the tool rest around and just work on the bottom of the bowl. So at this angle I can get in there to make a good mortise so I can mount the chucks to hold the bowl so that I can cut out the bottom. The chuck has 4 jaws, and when I twist the key it'll expand outward to hold tight in the mortise I've cut. So I've got the chuck mounted now, and I'm going to take the whole bowl loose. Wrench falls every time. So once I've got it unscrewed, then I can remove that plate that's screwed on the other side. So I'm getting started hollowing out the center of the bowl here. It does kind of a weird illusion thing because like if you look at this spot right here, there's wood there now. If it does a quarter turn, there's no wood. Quarter turn, there's wood. So when it's spinning, it'll kind of look like there's not wood in certain locations, but if you were to stick this tool into one of those spaces, there definitely is wood in those locations. It's also kind of hard to see. Like right now, if I want to leave some of that bark on there, then I've only got a little bit to come over in this direction. Right now, I got the tailstock support, so that makes me a lot more comfortable. But the kind of shadow of the wood is a little bit tricky. Once I get farther in here, I have to pull this back. If I was to get another catch like I did earlier, then it could break it out of the mortise and make it hard to finish the job. So got to be careful with this step coming up. So it's coming along okay. Some dangers right now is you don't want to go too deep here so that it comes out the bottom. You've got that mortise that kind of goes up in a little bit. I'm usually not too aggressive at it, so I haven't ever made what they call making a funnel out of it. On this, you got to decide how close you want to come in, and then if you want to round this at all. And you know, the more you do, the more risk you have of some of that bark flying off. So I've got a lot of bark left, but all the thicker stuff is kind of come off by now. And then at some point, I'm gonna have to pull this tailstock away, and it's a little bit scary because if I get a catch, it could like knock the thing loose from that chuck jaws that it's in. Really never got a good camera angle to get any of the footage of me hollowing out the bowl, so I apologize for that. Got one crack there that's a little bit concerning. We'll see how it looks after 24 hours. A couple of smaller ones on that end, but they don't look too bad. That's not a crack. I've got some coloration changes right there. Outside looks pretty nice. Right now it sits pretty flat on the table. A lot of times after they dry out a little bit, they'll kind of deform and won't sit flat. Applying a little bit of this Krylon lacquer to the bowl. So that finishes up this week's project. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week to see what Drew's up to.